In regards to the controversial relocation in downtown, the Kennedy Plaza and the different things that, again, that the project that was put, that was recently stopped, that you guys were going to move?
Well, actually, we're moving forward with that. We've completed the necessary studies that we had to do in order to make sure that we were in compliance with the civil rights regulations in federal laws. And we have a preliminary design that has just been completed. We are about to engage the public in a couple of months of public discussion and presentation of those plans. And we are very much on course. To date, I believe of the $35 million bond issuance, I believe we have spent about $1 million of it. Some on legal fees. I don't have the exact amount of legal fees, but I will get that for you. And some on the design of, for example, the renovations, the design that's ongoing for the renovations of one of the bus hubs at the train station for consulting engineering fees. I can get an accurate breakdown of that for you.
Okay, so now I'm really confused. I thought that one had, there was a thoughtful pause on that. I was under the understanding, but...
Well, the pause is to allow for a couple of months of additional public comment so that they can review our newest plans and the Title VI civil rights study that we've just completed. We'll be presenting that to the administration hopefully in the next week or so, and then we'll roll out. And the pause was for a couple of months to get more public comment so that we can listen to the concerns of the public and the transit riders.
And how's that public comment going? Because I mean, there was a pause because there was an uproar, right? I mean, there was a certain group that was uncertain about, and I think had misconceptions about how we were planning on providing for transfers, or that our plans would in some ways impact lower income and minority populations. In fact, our engineers, our consultants, and our Title VI coordinators have gone through an iterative process to make sure that the design that we'll be presenting to the public completely complies with all of the Civil Rights Acts and also does not impact the minority or low-income communities. And we've got a plan that we will be presenting, and the pause is to allow for people to review that plan and make comment on it. We will be holding, I think, 20 public meetings or so in all 4 or 5 of the counties in Rhode Island. And so that everyone from every locality will have a chance to weigh in on the issue. Okay, so let me just get this right. We can agree that people were not happy, but you're saying that there was a misunderstanding.
Yeah, I think they had the conception that there were going to be impacts where in fact there are not going to be impacts.
Okay, and that included a pretty big group of elected officials, including the mayor, right?
Well, the mayor actually has signed on to the new plan. In fact, to the point where our designers of the multi-hub system are working with his designers for his new park system in central Providence. And the two designs will come together so that they complement one another.
Okay, and then the council members who were not agreeing at the time, they're on board as well now?
Well, no, and that's where we're going to have an opportunity during the next couple of months to present to them the data and the plans that mitigate the many concerns that they have.
Can you, at some point in the next week or so, just provide us what the conversation is like at this point in regards to the public input that you're waiting
Well,
on?
That public conversation will be starting up again in a series of public meetings, and they haven't taken place yet. But as they do progress over the next 2 months, as I said, I'll be happy to report on those.
So no additional emails you've received in the interim, or calls, or any type of communication?
Well, yeah, I mean, we get communication and calls all the time on these, but none that are outside the realm of the public hearings that we will be holding during the next 2 months.
And this is obviously the same plan that, while the public input will, the probability of the public input may be making some modification, this is the same plan that the city council voted against unanimously and did a resolution, right?
Not completely. There have been a number of changes that we made. We listened to the concerns of the public and of the council members, and we went back to the designers and the consultants and the experts that we had, transit experts that we had working on it, and they revised aspects of the design that will address any and all of those concerns.
And for the record, this was 6 years ago that this began, right?
Well, 6 years ago that it began in a different form. 6 years ago that it began on a conception that we might be able to do a public-private partnership that included much more than just the development of transit hubs, but that included some economic development potential in and around the transit hubs. Unfortunately, the economic times and the timing of the evolution of downtown Providence was not sufficient to be able to support those kinds of ventures. We did reach out to a number of companies, they responded, but they were not fruitful. I think the city would need to evolve a bit more for those kinds of public-private partnership opportunities to be fruitful.
Okay, well.
So there was some time taken up in exploring that. And I think we owed it to ourselves to see if there was an opportunity there before we just proceeded with a normal kind of transit project. But we and the experts that we had working on it and the private development community agreed in that there just was not that opportunity to be able to do that scale of a project.
Okay, well, again, we obviously get reports from different entities, and in some cases, some of my colleagues are constituents who are very involved, and it appeared that there was an entity that was ready to do a PPP, but at some point, I guess, whether it be offline or if as things begin to normalize, you come in person. But I
Yep.
just want to understand how we prioritize things and why certain projects are expedited and others take 6 years or longer. So with that said, Director, that exhausts my questions. I believe that my colleagues are good at this point, and